we spent months planning our dream kitchen here in the Philippines. And then a simple bottle of cold water did this. We thought we had the perfect remodeled kitchen. And we had planned it out here in the Philippines. It's a little different, but we did it. But something went wrong when we least expected it, when actually we thought we were finished. We thought all the planning and the preparation would pay off, right? We're not going to have any problems. But instead, we're now having to deal with this issue. And we actually want you to see it so that you won't make the same mistake. Because we're quite surprised this happened, especially when we thought the project was done. We thought it was complete, right? Well, let's go back to the beginning. Well, we had designed the kitchen to very much be like a model home. We actually visited model homes in different new subdivisions to get ideas. It's really helpful to see how they did things. And we were looking at the materials, and we also were really careful to find the right kitchen contractor. And we went through referrals on Facebook for people that had used these folks and then interviewed several of them. And we chose this one guy, Arvin, of Arvin Modular Cabinetry, because he stood out as one of the best kitchen remodelers, interior remodelers that we could come across, right? And the design that he did for us with no strings attached just made sense to us. It really flowed well. And we liked the look and feel of it. It was modern. It was very kind of contemporary, the best materials, the latest things, new things in lighting that we used. And so we were quite happy with it. We just adjusted a few things to kind of meet some of our own expectations, which was to make sure we had a spice rack. He had self-closing drawers, and we wanted that. You just push the drawer and it finishes the close by itself. But we also wanted to build in space for both the microwave and for the water dispenser, so it would just be part of the plan and look natural in the kitchen. And of course, to maximize the space, because in homes here, they don't build closets, which is really interesting. So we had the design go on the kitchen cabinets from floor to ceiling, taking advantage of all of that additional cabinet space so that we'd have place to store things. And we knew we'd have to use a stepladder to get to it, and that was just part of the plan. There's a space next to the refrigerator, the stepladder can fit, and so when we get to the top cabinets in the kitchen, that's what you got to do. No big deal. Now, we had seen this, what is called Galaxy Black Granite, in one of the model homes for the subdivision. In fact, it was for this particular subdivision, which is in Panglao Island, and the second half of the island is called Dowie. That's the area. And then this particular project is Royal Palms Cuatro. The contractor, who I really enjoyed talking with, agreed to go with me and go take a look at the kitchen and see how this would all work, right? And we came up with the colors and the design, everything we wanted to do when we agreed it was going to match to this Galaxy Black Granite. So that was one of the centerpieces, one of the main decisions that we made in designing the kitchen. And then since that was black, we kind of did an off-white beige color in the cabinets. And just by chance, in the middle of all this happening, funny timing, a friend of ours warned us that he had granite in his rental home and that there were several stain marks on the granite that he could not get out. So we asked the contractor about it, and he just kind of dismissed it, saying it must be a different type of stone or material or something, or they didn't seal it right. Something wasn't quite right because that just shouldn't happen. And in the 3 years of him doing this here locally, after being a designer abroad, doing this in other countries, he's not had any problems. So the granite material we selected was sold as waterproof. And when we called up and told the contractor that there is a stain on the island countertop that we can't get out, he was quite surprised, to say the least, especially since we had discussed it before we even put it in. So he suggested we try this chemical product. It's kind of a cleaner called Wipeout. And we tried that, And even though it was just, the stain came from condensation out of a bottle from the refrigerator, so it's just water, it didn't work. So we told them that, and the contractor said, okay, I'm going to send out one of my guys, and he's going to come with the buffer, and he's going to buff this all out. Now, when you buy this material, it comes in these big sheets. I think it's 60 centimeters by 120 centimeters, which is roughly 2 feet by 4 feet. And they have to cut it down to whatever size that you're going to do. And when they do cut it down, once they've cut it, they actually get it wet and then buff it with various buffing material. So it's okay to be buffing it. Well, he went ahead and buffed out the stain, but it didn't completely go away. It did reduce it some, but it's still there. We just couldn't get rid of the stain. And so now we're gun shy, right? If we can't just put water on it, let alone anything else. I mean, you're in a kitchen, the countertops are all granite, right? Around the sink, around the stove. This is going to be a problem. Well, while all this was happening, I actually had to go back to the US for a few weeks. And so when they attempted all these fixes, the wipeout, the buffing, none of it worked. So I said to Lynn, you know what? Before too much time goes by, I need you to go to the home improvement store where the contractor bought the granite, and then just talk to these guys and ask them, the ones that work with the granite, about the stain and what to do about it. So she went, and the store guy said, well, you must have spilled wine on it. And she said, I didn't put wine on it. It was water. And they said, it can't be water. You must have put acid on your counter. So Lynn's trying to explain to them, look, I just pulled a bottle of something, juice or whatever it was, out of the refrigerator. And it was just condensation, water on the bottle, that I set it on the counter, which left the stain. And the guys just laughed at her and said, well, that's not possible. You must have put acid on the granite. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're going to purposely do an acid test with some type of acid on our brand new granite countertops? Give me a break. Well, at that point, she got tired of trying to argue with these guys. And she said, look, I just want someone to explain to me why a countertop that was sold as waterproof has been stained from basically water. And they just could not give her an answer. They didn't believe it was just water. So she left. Well, I came back from the States, and this granite issue still was a problem. So I said, you know what? Let's go back to the home improvement store. But this time we're going to go up the food chain. We're going to talk to the store manager who runs that store. We're going to talk to them directly about it, because it's always best to get to that decision maker. And if we can't get an answer there, then we'll go to the CEO of the store chain. So when we talked to the store manager and explained the situation, then showed the photo of the stain on the granite, she was pretty much understanding. She's pretty cool about it, especially when she saw the photograph of the stain, right? At that point, she messaged the manufacturer, which for some reason I think they were based in Australia. Not sure why I remember that, if that means anything, but she asked them for a solution and sent the picture. The manufacturer came back in about 24 to 48 hours and confirmed that the Galaxy Black granite material was supposed to be waterproof, and that we must have put boiling hot water on the granite for this to happen. All right, so first they think we did wine, then some type of an acid. Now the manufacturer's telling us, oh, you must have put boiling hot water at like 200 C or something like on the countertop. No. I mean, this is beginning to be like, you know, that telephone game you play when you're a kid. You tell a story, and when it goes around the room, it changes. So what was cold condensation from just a bottle of something in the fridge now is changed to wine, acid, and hot water, depending upon who you're talking to. It's just ridiculous. Well, the manufacturer responded that they would send a free replacement piece of granite, and they would replace it for the island piece. But the store pretty much said, the store manager said, we'll replace this one piece, but we're not replacing all of it because it's all got to be cut to size and redone. So that was kind of an open switch. I just let it hang for now. So I said, well, the other way that we do this in the States is we seal the granite. This is a common thing to be done. Can you recommend as a manufacturer what sealer to be used? And it's been several weeks now, and it's still, I'm waiting on an answer. I followed up with the store. They say they followed up with the manufacturer. I still don't have an answer as to what type of clear sealer that I can put on the granite. And that's a normal, common thing to do out in the West. But here in the stores, they don't sell the sealer. Well, I got a hold of a contractor and explained, okay, the store manager has given us a free replacement piece of granite, but I need you to pick it up because the stuff's really heavy, actually. It takes 2 guys to move it. And I said, let's schedule the pickup, and then you can come out and put it in place. And again, this is about a 2 foot by 4 foot or 60 by 120 centimeter piece of granite. Not sure how heavy it is, but it takes 2 guys to move it for sure. Well, this is the part of the story where it really makes a difference of not just having a contractor, but having the right contractor. And it ended up really mattering in this case, right? Because a lot of these guys, once they've been paid, once the job is finished, they'll walk away. And this guy, Arvin, of Arvin Cabinetry, Modular Cabinetry, instead of doing that, he worked with me. He owned the problem, even though he didn't create it, but he helped to kind of work out a solution, suggest things, and he didn't give up, and I didn't give up, and I said, I want to get this done. And basically, Arvin was willing to work with me to find a solution, whereas a lesser contractor or handyman may have just punted, right? So this last Saturday, just a couple of days ago, he arrived in the morning with a couple of his guys, and they had the new piece of granite. They had the full sheet, and so they came and measured it. They had to cut it down to fit the island. So this is them cutting down the granite, once again, getting it to the right size. So as they're doing all this work, I pull Arvin aside, and I said, well, how did things go at the store when you picked up the material? And he said, well, the store personnel told them that we, meaning me, him, whatever, had not reserved any granite. Because we had not reserved any granite, it was out of stock, our favorite term in the Philippines. I mean, as if the onus is on me to reserve the granite that was being sent in by the manufacturer directly. I just didn't get it. I think, once again, he's getting a bad answer. And they never requested me to reserve anything. In fact, I had a copy of the order from the manufacturer, the message saying that they were here, that here's the order number, and we're going to send it directly to the store. So now I'm confused. If the home improvement place is out of granite, how do you have one here today? Right? That's what I'm asking the contractor. And where did you get it? And he said, you know what? I had to go to another home improvement store. I think he paid about twice as much. From what I remember, the granite was running about 5,500 to 6,000 pesos for a sheet. He had to pay 11,000 pesos out of his own pocket at another store, another hardware store, since the one that we were dealing with was out of stock. And I was like, you what? You paid for more granite? I'm thinking, this is supposed to be a free replacement where we've already got that commitment. And, at this point, Arvin's keeping his cool, I'm keeping my cool, but it was a little bit awkward, right? There was this awkward moment. You could kind of imagine, it's like, I'm thinking, you paid 11,000 pesos? I've already paid for this total job. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why should we have to buy another slab when we've already got the manufacturer who produces the stuff say that they're sending it in for free as a replacement? Now, how are we going to make back up this 11,000 pesos that he's paid? Well, Arvin, to his credit, through this whole process, he never raised his voice. He never pressured me in any way. I don't think he was super happy about it. He's having to take his time on a Saturday, his crew, and pay for the materials. But at the end of the day, I asked him to make this right. I said, I want this kitchen right. And he was doing just that, and he wasn't giving me an attitude or anything like that. And for sure, it cost him his time, his crew's time, and the material. So there was a cost to him. So I said, Arvin, come here. Let me show you the message on WhatsApp. And this is from the manufacturer back to the store. It has an order number for the free replacement and the SKU number and everything. And it's being sent directly to the store. Take this message. I gave him a copy of it. Go back to the same store manager who I had the conversation with and show them, this confirmation on WhatsApp, and then work something out that you can get your money back. And I told Arvin, because they just kept working. And it was not easy to get the granite off the countertop, as you saw in the opening scene. They literally had to take a hammer and smash the heck out of it because the countertop is glued in 6 different spots. Basically the 4 corners of the island and then 2 spots in the middle, right? So it was glued down and it was not coming up. They tried a crowbar and everything else. It was not coming up. They had to smash the heck out of it with a hammer. It was loud. It was a mess. But in the end, I told Arvin, look, I appreciate you making this right, but you should not have to pay this extra material, this extra 11,000 pesos. So I sent him the message. I said, take this back to the store, make sure they give you your money back, explain the situation, and if you have any problems whatsoever, let me know, and I'll come out there and meet you. And we'll just, work it out with the store until it's finally fixed. So that's one just really frustrating thing about dealing with issues here in the Philippines on returns. They're not good about it. And they generally work off of basically a no returns policy. Even some stores, no exchanges. Most stores will give you back maybe store credit if there's really defective product or you can really present your case. But boy, they really resist here. It's not like in the States where they'll just take things back on Amazon or Costco. And it better be a recent purchase and you better have the receipt to even have a shot at it. Luckily, we had all those things. Well, in the end, this is what the final countertop looks like. So it's been replaced. It's only been 2 days, but it's been great. And at this point, I'm just waiting to hear from Arvin if he was able to work something out at the store level to get his money back. I mean, there should be a piece of granite waiting for him under that order number. Now, one interesting thing I want to point out that's worth kind of mentioning in this process, that when I was meeting with the store manager and I had requested that free replacement for the granite, the store manager was really keen on knowing who the contractor was. And I couldn't remember Arvin's last name, but we finally found him. They looked him up in the system and they looked at his purchasing history. And this became an important chip in the process, right? So the store manager, when she sent off the message to the manufacturer for the free replacement, this was kind of her defense. She said, this is a recurring contractor customer, right? She used that exact phrase, recurring customer, before she made her request for a free replacement of the granite. And once they saw that it was a recurring customer for their material, then they were a little bit more willing to play ball. Now, in the scheme of things, now that it's all done and we have the island replaced, I'm thinking as long as we seal the rest of the granite with a clear sealer that's made specifically for kitchen granite, then we'll be okay. But I'll tell you, if you're looking for kitchen materials to remodel in the Philippines, I'd highly look at quartz and other more waterproof materials. It's just something you're going to need to think about because even our waterproof granite is anything but waterproof, right? So if you're going to remodel a kitchen here in the Philippines, look at those materials, ask those questions, and then when you find your material, put some water on it and test it. Now, back in the States, my mom had her kitchen redone several years ago, and she's had granite countertops for years now. And they've been sealed. And from what I understand, they're supposed to be sealed every other year or so. I think she has those countertops, those granite countertops, probably about 15 years. So no issues whatsoever, and not a problem to find the sealer out there and just have it resealed every other year. The biggest lesson here wasn't about the granite lacking the waterproof coating, which probably happens somewhere in the manufacturing process, but they're not going to admit to that. What the important thing here is about having not just a contractor, but the right contractor who stands behind his work like Arvin did, who's got the integrity to make it right. And so, in my opinion, a good contractor is worth the additional cost to manage the project and then handle things when something goes wrong. And that's exactly what he's here for, to make sure that it's done right. Another reason to use a contractor. All right. Well, that's our story today. Thanks for watching. And keep an eye out for our next update as we make progress on these outside cement projects coming out. This Friday, I'll give you the next update. And if the weather cooperates, we should be seeing some of the concrete fence columns built and then poured this week. So we're kind of excited to see that happen. And it should be interesting to watch as you see the rebar that they build it with, the wooden forms they put around it, and then the pour. And then if you want to get more information on Island Expats, feel free to follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is called just that, Island Expats. And daily we post something to kind of give you a closer look of our life here in the Philippines. So if you're curious what life is like here, you'll see something posted every day. Sometimes it's what we had for a meal that we went out or made at home. Sometimes you'll see me dancing across the floor, goofing around. It's much looser. It's just our life here. Nothing fancy, no big plan. It's just day to day. So if you want to follow along, feel free. Just search for Island Expats on Facebook. Well, I appreciate you guys spending your time with me today. Taking your time to watch is important, and I do appreciate it very much. So I'll see you at the end of the week and the next video with our next update on those outside concrete projects. You guys take care, and thanks for watching.